We already know that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is set to be one of the highest grossing movies ever, and is definitely in the running for one of the best MCU movies. But now we have the official numbers, and they're better than we thought. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has made roughly $28 million in pre-sales, and early data has it pacing for a $190 to $210 million opening weekend, which is insane. For reference, Spider-Man No Way Home made about $260 million. So even for a less popular character, and without the hype generated by Spider-Man, Doctor Strange 2 is doing really well. We also have insight on some other characters that could appear in Doctor Strange 2 coming from big screen leaks. When asked whether Ghost Rider or Wolverine was in Multiverse of Madness, or if there were still parts of the plot and cameos that hadn't been leaked after reshoots, BSL said, "I've heard about many possible cameos in this movie, and not once did Wolverine come up. I'll be stunned if he's in the movie." So unfortunately, even though we're getting Patrick Stewart back as Professor X, it doesn't seem like we'll be getting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, or even a new actor as the character. When asked of the possibility of Ben Affleck's Daredevil appearing in the movie, BSL said, "A couple months ago I mentioned that his team was sent the offer to appear, but I believe he passed on it." And this may have had to do with Batman, or possibly him just not wanting to return due to the general consensus of the 2003 movie. Next, I've talked about each of these topics a little bit before, but when you put them all together, it really just makes me wonder, what is Sony doing, and why they haven't just given the characters back to Marvel Studios, or figured out some way to have Kevin Feige help them out more, because they're really struggling. In Spider-Man No Way Home, we only got Venom for a few seconds, the scene with him in the bar, where he ends up leaving a piece of the symbiote behind. But recently we learned that there were talks of having Venom appear in the final battle, or possibly having him get stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel, instead of staying at the bar the whole time. Now, like I've said before, even with this hive mind, it doesn't really make sense for Sony's version of Venom to want to go after Spider-Man, especially since this one is being set up as more of an anti-hero and doesn't even eat people. So with him trying to be more of a good guy, there's really not any reason for him to go after Spider-Man, even if Venom wanted to. But everything that's happened with Venom is tame compared to Morbius. Like I've stated in previous videos, no one over at Sony that was working on Morbius knew what the heck they were doing. Morbius was originally supposed to come out a year before Spider-Man No Way Home, but due to delays and everything else that happened, it ended up coming out 4 months later. But the director Daniel Espinosa claims that they had no idea what Marvel Studios was doing with Spider-Man No Way Home, which is why the mid and post-credit scenes in Morbius make absolutely no sense. Without them knowing what was going on, they tried to bring Vulture over the same way that Marvel brought Venom to the MCU. However, because of a lack of communication, they ended up having to cut major parts, most of which were those from the trailer. So even though they had more than enough time to ask Feige anything and try to figure out a way to make the movie make sense, they didn't. Instead, they chopped the movie up into little pieces, made nonsensical and confusing post-credit scenes, and even without knowing or understanding how different characters were traveling back and forth, they decided to set up the Sinister Six. So now, even though Morbius and Venom have no reason to go after Spider-Man, Vulture's gonna build a team and most likely recruit more characters like Kraven the Hunter. What's even worse though, is that after how bad Morbius was, there are apparently plans for Morbius 2. To be honest, right now I don't know which one's worse. Sony's universe or multiverse or whatever they're trying to build, or the DCEU. But at least the DCEU has a chance now with Discovery. But Sony, they're just gonna continue to get worse. Kraven, Sony's version of the A-Force with Madam Web, and they're apparently gonna introduce Spider-Man soon. I mean, I know we all want it, but it's just gonna be so bad. If they do Toby, or they do Andrew, or they introduce Miles Morales, it's just not gonna be good with the universe that they currently have. What they need to do is they need to take the Discovery approach, find someone like Kevin Feige, steer away from the MCU because that's obviously not working, and go down a more connected path with movies that make sense and are actually good. But anyways, going back to Morbius 2, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Morbius star Adria Arjona commented on the future of her character, Dr. Martine Bancroft, saying, "When I got the script and when I got to that moment where she turns, I was so excited because it changes everything for her. It adds a bunch of question marks to her future, so I'm excited to see where Martine will go. Now that she's turned, I want to know if she goes more towards good or bad, or does she have trouble finding the middle ground? What happens to her? I'm as curious as the fans will be." Now, to be honest, if she's as curious as us, that means she's not curious at all. Because I honestly don't want to see Morbius 2 unless something drastic changes at Sony. And lastly, a couple days ago we saw the Marvel Legends figures for Mighty Thor, King Valkyrie, Ravager Thor, and Gore the God Butcher. But we were waiting for regular Thor, Star-Lord, and Groot. I don't think that Groot's will have anything super special, but if it does, then I'll cover it. Right now though, we got the descriptions for Thor and Star-Lord, and I think those are more important, even though they don't really reveal anything either. Anyways, Thor says, Thor unleashes the power of Stormbreaker to overcome any foe. And Star-Lord says Peter Quill and the Guardians of the Galaxy return, teaming up with friends new and old to defend the galaxy from a dangerous new enemy. And I really like the way that they went with this. The Guardians didn't just drop Thor off in New Asgard, but instead, they'll stay there for a while, meet everyone, and eventually team up with them to stop Gore. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Although we're not getting Wolverine or Daredevil and Doctor Strange 2, would you have liked to see them? What do you think of a Morbius 2? And how excited are you for Thor 4? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you will never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and remember to wash your hands and stay safe.